A very good morning, viewers of Simply Communicate. I'm Karuna Kumar, the Associate Editor, and I'm here in Chester today. Thankfully, it's not raining, and as you can see, it's nice and sunny. And I have with me the Managing Director of EMS, and I'm not going to give away anything more than that. I'm going to let Keith tell us, what is EMS?
EMS stands for Event Marketing Solutions. Our specialist in taking your message to your people. So we use these large mobile display vehicles behind us to provide a consistent message, for, an environment for you to be able to take that message out to your staff and employees wherever they are in the world.
That's a very, very interesting thought, the idea of using these large trailers for actually communicating with people on ground. So how did you come up with this idea, and how long has it been that you've been doing this?
Well, Event Marketing Solutions was established back in October 2000. Having said that though, I'd been working in the industry for some time prior to that, some 15 years. I didn't have grey hair then. But essentially it's been developed through a necessity for people to be able to, as the workforce has become more spread out and diverse, it was really important that people had the consistency of taking the same message around to where the people are actually working.
So we are finally inside one of these huge trailers, and this is how it is actually given to the clients. This is the clean bit of trailer, and before I take you to the one which is actually being customized for a client, Keith is going to tell us a bit more about what EMS is, what the sort of clientele they have, and what are the projects they've taken recently. So Keith, first question. Now this has a considerable cost attached to it.
Yes.
So how many organizations are actually willing to spend that much money on a roadshow to engage with audiences internally or externally?
The fact of the matter is there is a large capital cost, but that's something that EMS will take. We invest in the actual vehicles, and how our business model works is we can actually rent that out for shorter periods, which is significantly cheaper. So it allows people to be able to use roadshows, whereas spending £300,000 on this vehicle wouldn't be an option for them. So we can rent it for a shorter period. And yes, it is more expensive than a hotel room in a hotel anywhere in the country, but when you take into account the amount of costs and you add the AV costs and all of the other associated costs, it actually is a very cost-effective way of doing it, because you don't have to have the support services of people setting up stage sets and everything else. You have one cost to fit out the vehicle, and then that can actually be rolled out throughout the UK, Europe, wherever it might be in the world. So not in all cases. In some instances it's cheaper to be able to do it in a hotel, but the impact that it delivers and the additional cost, we think is a huge benefit to the audience, and so it's not as expensive as a lot of people think.
So I think one of the very interesting aspects of EMS is it actually travels around the world. They've done excellent road shows in the Middle East and all over Europe, so this is very interesting that you actually travel. So do you travel to every location that the company has offices in, or just to specific locations? How does it actually work logistically?
Well, from that point of view, we need to rely on the client there to be able to sort of inform us on which are the most important sort of markets, and indeed where they want to communicate those messages to. In some instances where they've got smaller offices, they will bring together two offices together to one location. Whilst we have specific views about how we can optimise the route for to do a European tour, and we want to avoid zigzagging all over the world, it is down to the client to say, okay, we need to be able to make sure that audience the message is delivered in the right way. With one particular client, the pharmaceutical client, they actually wanted, it was important for them to deliver the same message in 3 different continents at the same time. On that particular project we had a very short lead time. It was only 3 weeks, and that was to actually deliver 3 vehicles both in the UK, in Europe and America, because for them it was very important to get the message out at exactly the same time. As I mentioned earlier, it was quite a sensitive message, one of reorganisation, and so in that instance we were able to do simultaneous road shows with the fleet of vehicles that we have, and that can do work anywhere in the world, basically.
Very keen to know, what is the response of your clients?
Well, the feedback from the clients has been very, very positive. It's probably fair to say now that in the early days, people would get that feel-good factor and leave it at that. A lot more people now want quantitative and qualitative sort of information to support their investments, and the feedback that we're getting from that is incredibly positive. Now that varies dependent on the client. You know, from Sky's point of view, the actual presentation that we did for them was completely voluntary to be able to go and do it, and we had more people through the experience than any other of the programs that they'd done previously, and that was a very positive thing to start off with. And obviously they could see the impact as far as sales was concerned immediately from the engagement of the call centre staff. In the case of Royal Mail, what they were looking for was a significant drop in health and safety issues that they'd been experiencing in their depots, and again we had that. From other areas, it's really a matter of measuring the perceptions and the change in perceptions when people leave. So it's passing over that information and actually checking with people if there is a difference in perception from before they go in and when they come out afterwards. And we spend a lot more time collecting that information now to make sure that they understand the message and refine the message that we're delivering to them.
Okay. So we are right now standing outside the trailer that was used for Barclays. So as you can see behind me, it's a huge blue colored trailer with the Barclays brand on it. And Justin is going to tell us exactly why is it the way it is. So Justin, first of all, let the viewers of Communicate know who you are, what your role in the project is.
Okay, so I'm the Client Services Director here at EMS, and I was responsible for running the project during the pitch process and during the life of the project in its entirety.
So we are finally standing inside the Barclays trailer, which was actually customized for the Barclays client. As Justin explained, it was something that was done at a very large scale. Now, what Justin also does in such trailers is that he sells free money. So as you can see, there's an ATM right here. So Justin, how do you really get people to have this free money? And am I getting some?
Unfortunately, I've got no free money for you. I wish I did, yeah.
Okay, so explain, what is this here for?
Okay, so when we originally pitched for this project, the space was divided into two parts. One third, which was a welcome and reception area, which was designed to have the look and feel of a branch. And because of where Barclays were at that stage, they were very keen, in fact insistent, that it had to have all the functionality that you had in a working branch. So we had fitted into here a working ATM, which you could withdraw cash. There was an online banking facility, there was iPhone and iPad banking demonstrations, so you could do all the banking that you would do in a normal branch in this environment here.
So you're actually saying there was real money inside?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, people withdrew cash, and actually it became quite an important feature at certain shows that customers would come in and use the facilities to bank.
What sort of audiences are we talking about here?
Okay, it's important to tell you about the audiences that the project engaged, and there were three separate audiences that we had to talk to. Initially, the most important one was to go and engage colleagues, so this was where they went to their regional offices to talk to staff about the future of Barclays and how they were performing and how employees could be part of their future. And then there were two other groups that became apparent that the space that we created the vehicle could be used for. So the first was to talk to business customers. So if they were on a site in the evening or perhaps on a second day, they might invite business customers to come along, and one of their local management team would talk to business customers about banking services. And then the third aspect was that Barclays have a very proactive community strategy. So they brought in communities groups and ran community sessions talking about things like Spaces for Sport and the Barclays Money Skill Pro.
So what part of these roadshows do you think is the most engaging for internal audiences specifically?
Oh, a really difficult question. In this particular experience, and there's two things: the interior architecture is so close to the branch facility that people came on were amazed about the facility. So that was a real coup when people first came on. But the presentation area, the presentation itself, was so visually dynamic that people were really engaged in that. It's not sitting there watching a dull speaker for 20 minutes. It's actually really engaging. So the reaction we got to that was really positive as well.
What would be different if it wasn't a trailer and just an event that would take place at a particular hall? What is it that the audience would have missed out if this wouldn't have been a mobile experience?
I think it's just the unique nature of it. There's two aspects to it. It's the unique nature of the environment, and people expect to go to a hotel and sit in a conference room, or go to a conference centre, or perhaps a room at the company's headquarters. But they don't expect to come on a truck, and they certainly don't expect to come on a truck that's as sort of magnificent in its finish as this. The second thing I'd say is that the cost of doing this becomes infinitely lower, because Barclays employees could come down from the desk, come into the presentation, they sit there for 20, 30, 40 minutes and be engaged, and then they're straight back at their desks. They're not going across town or to another town to go to a hotel. So for Barclays, the downtime, and therefore the cost of that sunken cost of employees' time wasn't wasted.
Very interesting perspectives by Justin about how actually they go about delivering to the customer and to the client. It's a fantastic setup, and I think it's brilliant what you do. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.